It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Hi guys, Gaturi here and Leo Tunapika. So today is a very special day. It's my birthday. I turned 31, another year around the sun. So as it has become custom, I normally bake my own birthday cakes. Yeah. Anyway, this year I decided to do something different. I asked you guys who follow me on Instagram. If you don't, please do. I gave you some few choices on which cake to make for myself, and this is the result. So join me as we bake this cake. Karibuni. Now the ingredients for the cakes. Yes, cakes. I'm making two cakes for myself. So one is a raspberry lemon. The other one is a death by chocolate cake. So we have flours for both the cakes. For the raspberry lemon, we have fresh raspberries. We can't do without lemons. I'm using margarine, but you can use butter. Lots and lots of eggs, vanilla essence, the rising agents. For the raspberry lemon, I'm using baking powder. For the death by chocolate, it's a mixture of baking powder and baking soda, also known as bicarbonate of soda, lots of sugar. So the first step, I'll start with the raspberry, but before that, my cocoa needs to be dissolved in hot water. So we want that mixture to be cooling as we are working on the other cake. So this is 1 cup cocoa, and it's cocoa powder, not drinking chocolate. Then you put 2 cups of hot boiling water. So I'm doing this fast so that this can be cooling off, so that when you mix it with the egg mixture, it won't cook your eggs. It's just that there's no smell-o-vision because of the water hitting the cocoa. I can already smell the cocoa. Again, I said use cocoa powder, not drinking chocolate. So we just stir and let that rest. Now in the meantime, we'll start working on the raspberry lemon cake, which is extremely easy to do. I'm sure if you've been following Leo Tunapika for quite a while, you've already watched the recipe. Yeah. Now for the raspberry lemon cake, I'll just go through this very fast because as I've said, there's already a video. And guys, do not forget to preheat your oven before you start. Here's my margarine. As I've said, you can use butter. I don't have money for butter. Then added some sugar, 1 cup. This was 200 grams of margarine, which is less than 1 cup. And then now we go in with our mixer. I'm using my handy dandy handheld. Here's the margarine and the sugar, my mixer. So I'm going to cream this until light and fluffy. So meaning the sugar and the margarine or butter, well incorporated, a bit lighter in color. And if you don't have a mixer, don't fret. You can just use your mwiko. It will just take longer, but you can use your mwiko. As you can see, we are almost there. The sugar is not yet fully incorporated. Just go in with your mixer once more. I don't know whether you guys can notice. You see, like this one on the edge of the bowl, the color is more deeper than here. So meaning it's actually getting what we want. It's becoming lighter in color and building some more air, so it's becoming fluffy. So I'll just scrape off the sides so that all the margarine and the sugar is incorporated. I'm happy with that. Now I'll go in here. I go in with my lemon zest, one of my favorite kitchen tools. So I'm going to zest around 4 lemons because I really love the combination of the lemon and the raspberry. So I don't skimp on the lemons. Though when you see the recipe, it does say zest of 2 lemons. But if you don't mind the lemon taste, you can do 4 like I will. Actually, I think I'll just do 3 lemons. One of the lemons was quite huge. That surface area. If my brother was here, he'd be saying, add the lemons, Tweri, add the lemons. He's such a big fan of lemons. Okay. Now, I'll add in the eggs. 1 by 1. We're going to use 4 eggs. First egg, then anytime you're baking, make sure your ingredients are at room temperature. So if you refrigerate your eggs, just remove them from the fridge like 30 minutes before you start baking. Then of course some vanilla essence, a teaspoon, but I usually just use the cup for measurement. I don't know whether there's a baker who actually uses a teaspoon. I wonder. Any bakers who actually measures with a teaspoon, let me know. So at this stage, your mixture will look a bit curdled, but that's perfectly normal. We'll take our flour, mix in with our baking powder. So just to mix to get it incorporated. Then we dump it all in. Here, we won't use the mixer. We'll just fold. Let me get a folding spoon. I'll just use a mwiko to fold. So you just fold until incorporated. And guys, it's exactly that. Once you see your flour is incorporated, that's it, you're done. I'll incorporate until maybe like 3/4 of the flour is incorporated, then add my raspberries to avoid overworking my cake batter. So I'll put my raspberries. I'll put about a cup or two. Just I'll eyeball. The right proportions are on the blog and on the video, tunapika.com. So just folding. I'm trying my very best not to break the raspberries, but if they break, it's still okay. It will bring some beautiful hues of pink once the cake is baked. And there you have it. You see, it's well incorporated. Don't overmix. I know one feels the urge, but overmixing leads to the cake being chewy and tough, and you want a light, moist, beautiful crumb. Now, we put our butter in the cake tins. Now, it's a 2-tiered cake. The top tier will be, I'll use this 6-inch round tins, and I've cut out my greaseproof paper to cover the bottom of the tin. Ideally, you should grease here with margarine or butter, then dust with flour, then you can just bake even without the greaseproof. Or you can still cover with the greaseproof. Now my ingenious brother figured out that you don't even need to grease the tin. I know. So we usually just put the greaseproof paper like that. But if you're a bit doubtful, grease first. This butter is enough for about 1 kg of cake. And I want my top tier to be rather tall, so I'll bake in 4 tins. All these tins are covered with a greaseproof paper. I'm using my weighing scale because I want the layers to look the same because it's a naked cake. So I'll measure out to 50 grams per cake. Yes, that's 253. So that at least they are more or less the same height. Yeah. I would not advise you to eat cake batter because yeah, the eggs are raw and the flour, but wow, delicious. Now just gently level out, and then we put this to bake in the oven, 180 degrees C, for about, I think it's 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. But again, refer to the recipe, link in the description bar. The recipe I'm using for the Death by Chocolate cake I got from allrecipes.com. I'll leave the link in the description bar. By now you know the drill. So it usually calls for sifting the flour, and I'm usually a rebel, but when it comes to baking, when some things are said, it's best for you to follow. So this is the flour. We have baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And you're wondering, salt? Why? And you're making something sweet. Especially when you're working with cocoa and it's a chocolate cake, salt helps to enhance the chocolate flavor. And if you want, you can even add like a teaspoon of coffee in this mixture to just make the chocolate pop more. So yeah. So what is left is actually the big chunks of the salt. So we put that aside. We take our margarine stroke butter, then we add sugar. The recipe calls for 2 1/4 cups of sugar. I know, seems like a lot, but remember, cocoa is not sweetened, so it can be bitter. So the cocoa and the sugar balance out each other. So there you have it. My household has people going in and out of the kitchen, so bear with us. Now we're going to cream the sugar and the margarine just the same way we did with the raspberry. Then again, adding the eggs. This recipe also calls for 4 eggs. I'll still do it one by one. Add my vanilla here. Again, still using the cup to measure. What I love about this recipe is that once, as in everything is just mixed together. So remember the flour, just dump it in. My director has reminded me that the recipe calls for you put the flour in thirds and then the cocoa mixture in half. So you put the first third, half of the cocoa, mix, next third, the rest of the cocoa, then the final third. So don't be like Gatweri. But for the record, this is how I make this cake. Anytime I make it, I do it like this. So I'll put a little bit of the cocoa so that the flour does not cover my face, even though you can't see my face. Again, even if you're just using the mixer, the same rule applies. You mix until incorporated. So I'm just trying to make sure I've gotten all the cocoa. And then I'm using my spoon to scrape the sides of the bowl. As you can see, we are still not yet there. And this is because I dumped everything together instead of doing as the recipe says. After being a stickler for sifting, here I am. So just giving a quick final run through. Yeah. Make sure you get to the bottom. Sometimes some flour hides there in pockets. I guess because of not doing the thirds thing. I'm learning. Anyway, so this batter normally makes about 1.8 kg of cake, I think. So I'll bake it in 8-inch tins. My cakes are tiered, so this one is in 8-inch, the other ones were in 6-inch. So same drill. My greaseproof, put it here. Covered my 8-inch tins. If you're wondering where to get your baking tins, I got you covered. There's a video I did talking about home baking and the equipment. You can see the link in the description bar where I mention where you can get all this. So I'm weighing out around 550 because this batter yields about 1.8 kg of cake. So I'm zeroing the weight of the tin so that I can get the actual measure of the cake batter. I've weighed out into my 3 tins approximately 550 grams per tin, 8-inch tins. I'm going to bake this 180 degrees C, 30 to 35 minutes until a toothpick inserted at the center comes out clean, and then we'll let the cakes cool, then we'll do the frosting. In the meantime, we're going to make a sauce for the chocolate, Death by Chocolate. So I'm using raspberries, strawberries, sugar, water. The lemons I zested, I'll use the juice, and then later on we'll use some cornstarch to thicken it. So I'll just combine everything except the cornstarch into this saucepan, let it reduce, then we'll sieve together, then I'll show you the steps as we go. So here's my sauce with everything in it. Don't worry about the seeds. When we are sieving, we'll remove the seeds. So I'll put it over low heat, let this bubble come together, reduce. I'll show you how it looks like. So my sauce has been bubbling away for like, I think 10 minutes. It's slightly thin, but the cornstarch will help to thicken it. I want the raspberries and the strawberries to reduce, then we'll sieve. Look at how it's reduced. So now I'll turn it off, sieve it, then put some cornstarch with a little water, then yeah. So I've made the executive decision not to sieve, so I'll painstakingly pick out the lemon seeds. Then here, oh goodness, sorry guys, here is cornstarch with water, 1/4 cup of water with 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I'll stir, put it in to help it thicken further, and then I'll let this cool overnight, then we shall assemble the cake tomorrow. Well, my tomorrow, but you're watching it on the same day. I've added the cornstarch water. So I'll let this thicken further, and we're good to go. Look at that color, so gorgeous. The procedure is hot cream, you pour it over chocolate. So I'll put it to warm in, heat up in the microwave. So as that is happening, we'll weigh out the chocolate. So that was about 350 grams of cream. So I'll just cut the chocolate. Try your very best. Cut them into small pieces that are more or less the same size, so that when it comes to melting, they melt at the same time. It's advisable you use, usually say, semi-sweet or some dark chocolate that's not too sweet. So now here's my chocolate, then I add my hot cream, just cover, and then don't mix immediately, give it time. So we'll just set that aside, we give it time, then we'll go in with our whisk and whisk. So as that is, wow, yummy chocolate. So as that is melting, I'll show you how I remove the cakes from the tin. This is what I do to remove my cakes. I take a palette knife, run it across the edges of the cake very gently so that you don't tear. Take one board, flip it, there. So it is, there's the cake. I'll leave the paper on, we'll remove when we get into the actual frosting. So I'll do this. start at the center, just whisking gradually so that all the chocolate gets to mix well with the cream. Yeah, I'm using a tiny whisk, an ode to Andy of Babish. Binging with Babish. Look at that color. So just small circular motions as you get everything incorporated. There's still pieces of chocolate that are not yet fully melted. Hey, this is quite the arm workout. I cheated a bit on my ratio. My chocolate is slightly less than the cream, so I'll have to put this in the freezer to set so that I'm able to handle it. But there you have it, chocolate ganache. As easy as 1, 2, 3. So after about 10 minutes in the freezer, so here it is, pretty much set. Goodness, this is gonna be delicious. And here's the raspberry strawberry filling we made yesterday. It was also setting in the fridge. So now we'll just start layering the cakes. We'll start with the death by chocolate. My cakes seem more or less level, but I'll go in with my knife, serrated knife, and try and just level it further. Yeah. So I'll do this for all the 3 layers of chocolate. Need to be careful. The outside of the cake needs to look good because the cake won't be fully covered by the ganache. Okay, I've gone a bit inside with that, but hey, we'll need to. So now, once that is done, I'm going to put some ganache in a piping bag. So to make it easier, I usually do this. Sorry about that, my video cut off. So I piped it, snipped it, and then here I put a bit of ganache. Gently placed the cake. Then now we'll remove the greaseproof paper, and then we'll make a border with the ganache. I've put this on top of a turntable, or as people call it, a lazy Susan. So yeah, just a border, sorts. Then I go in with my filling. Then I'll just put the next layer and repeat the same process. Since it's a semi-naked cake, I'll just go around and do this. So nothing big, also gentle. This cake tends to be very fragile. So I'll just put a few dollops of the ganache around the cake. Then I go around with my dough scraper. So nothing too perfect, nothing fancy. So just bringing everything together. So now here it is. Then I just go round, 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 round. I think I'll leave it at that because you see I'm tweaking the bottom one and I don't want to mess it up. I'm saying I don't want to mess it up, then I go around again. My palette knife is doing a better job, or rather offset spatula, sorry. One of my favorite baking tools, just like clear surface. So we are almost finishing. My cake is not, I didn't level it beautifully. Here it's a bit higher, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Normally, when we make tiered cakes, we usually we put support beams here to support the second tier. But I'm going to be a rebel and not do it because this cake is not going to leave this house. So I'll just place the cakes as is and hope to God that they don't collapse. So I'll just place this tier, and then I have some of the ganache left over, so I just do the same. I'll try and do decorative pipes. Okay, not decorative, I'll just go round. I've put a tip, okay, which is misbehaving. I think there's some chocolate in there. Oh yeah, some chocolate that had not fully melted. So yeah, should be prettier than this, but hey. I had not planned on using the filling on the raspberry layer, but since I have some left over, I'll just use. So I'll just use like a tablespoon so that it's enough. I'll top my cake with fruits, raspberries, blueberries, you name it. So here's my cake. My two-tiered semi-naked birthday cake. Chocolate raspberry on the bottom, raspberry lemon on the top, and lots of berries. So all recipes used are linked in the description bar. If you do try any of the recipes, please do tag me with photos on Twitter or Instagram at Tunapika. Otherwise, from me Gateri, kwaheri.